Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to the Public Safety Park and Recreation Committee. We're now open, and as usual, we'll have a different report and public comment. We'll have 3 minutes for comments on per item. Hopefully we can get out of here and get home, get some meat, get on. All right, first item, we got September 14th minutes. Anybody got any questions for the minutes for last meeting? Aaron, at this time, we'll have the public safety report. Director McGinnis.
So we pass.
Pass.
I was working.
Pass back.
All right, so. Good evening, Commissioner or committee chairman, committee commissioners, clerk, attorney, minions, folks.
Residents.
Residents. We're here. I'm gonna kind of, you got the report. I'm gonna kind of go through that. If you got any questions, we can jump in because I really want to get into our discussion that we have for number 3. So this month, I'm sorry, September, we responded to another high month, 1,067 calls for police service. So that is 3 months in a row that we have been 30% higher than previous years. I ran the numbers from 2022 to 2018, and we are 30% higher in the last 3 months of the summer. Actually, I'm sorry. So June, July, August, September, we got that very steep incline, which I'm watching because I'm kind of curious to what that is. So, you know, I bring that up because one, the number jumped out at me, but two, we're short. So we got a short staff doing 30% more work, which is like 100% more than any other municipality around here other than township, of course. So we're getting it done, but that is curious on, I'm hoping that it'll go back down when the winter months come. So anyway, we had 77 arrests, 32 citations issued. Motor vehicle thefts are still remaining high. We're 10, which I think is less than the 12 for the previous 2 months. So again, if you want to call that a victory, but we're still having those issues. 3 forcible home invasions, no robberies. We did have 1 homicide on September 11th, which brings our annual total to 5 for this 2022. So hopefully we can stay there. The district report we have there, DV worked on some cases, wasn't a really huge month for them. Fire-wise, you see those numbers. Cass, jumping real quick. Fire-wise, for that update for the month of September, you'll keep brief.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I want to hit, I just since I serve as the representative to the Medic One Board of Directors, I just need to brief the Public Safety Committee that we recently have placed the Medic One Executive Director on paid administrative leave. I'm sure you may have seen that in the newspaper, pending a Michigan State Police investigation. It's reference a vehicle sale and a couple other things. So I've been very, very involved in the Medic One board process. We restructured the board yesterday, put new officers in because the board president was involved in the sale. So we have a new president, we have a new vice president, and we're really trying to set them on a course for the future. It's a great organization, so don't get discouraged about what you read in the paper because they really are doing good things. So I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that since I serve in that role. The other thing I just wanted to hit on is training. The Fire Academy started last night. We have 8 members currently in it. 505 total hours for training in September. Really been working on a training facility concept design, so hopefully I'll be having something to present in the future. We finished an instructor course, we finished a pump operator course. In all of these classes, we've had students from 3 counties. So we're getting Cass, Van Buren, and Berrien consistently.
Van Buren is coming to watch.
Yeah, last night Van Buren was here to watch how we run our academy. They're gonna model an academy after ours. So they're obviously people think we're doing good things. So it's good stuff. Fire Officer 2 starts tomorrow night. We have 8 students, 3 from Benton Harbor in that. That's a college level management course that these guys are going to be taking. So good stuff there. Got a lot of stuff coming for 2023, and just put some recent equipment in service and been training on it. But and then obviously this week's Fire Prevention Week, so we're hitting that hard. We're out in the schools. The state fire marshal for the state of Michigan was here yesterday at Discovery School. We were in Kojic Daycare today. We're at the Resource Center. Is that what it's called tomorrow on Catalpa? Readiness Center tomorrow on Catalpa. Unfortunately, tonight we were supposed to be at Union Park, but due to the weather, we had to cancel that. So Friday we'll be at Broadway Park, and Saturday we'll be at City Center Park doing fire prevention. So lots and lots of moving pieces in the fire department. End of things.
All right, so a couple of things. Because he talks about stuff that's just no big deal, because he's just that type of guy. But for the fact that the fire marshal for the state of Michigan comes down to do a public outreach event with us, I think speaks volumes. I don't think you understand how huge that is. The one fire marshal for the entire state. So that's the kind of relationship that we've built that Kaz has really nourished. And it's been tremendous. And again, now we got people coming from other counties to see how we do stuff. So, and we've got some other police stuff that we'll talk about down the road that we're like training wise, because we're going to do the same thing on the police side. We got people we've been sent into trainer school. So we must offer some classes on the police side for all right? No. I'm about to come get mouth to mouth with it.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry, point of order. I'm out of order. So anyway, that's what we have going on. So continuing on, again, you have the report there. Budget wise, we're in good shape, sitting where we are, having 1 quarter of this year going by. Personnel wise, as you know, we got 1 person in the academy doing very well. He texted me yesterday with an exclamation point behind his message. That's good. So doing very well there, and we are in the process of he's here. So anyway, we're hiring another candidate. He come here to meet you all. This is Taylor Van Walker. He's come to us. I'll let him tell a bit about his story very quickly. He lives in Portage from California. He's got quite the mixed bag. I'm proud to say I think we are the most diverse department in the county as far as nationalities, as far as the mix. Definitely would love to see more females in public safety. So if you know somebody's interested, please, because we definitely believe in that. But this is Taylor Van Walker from California. He's got quite a few things in his bloodline, so we wanted to have you meet him when you move on. So this is Taylor Walker.
Hello, Taylor.
All right, it's a pleasure to meet
Mr.
everybody. Taylor Van Walker, as you said, originally from San Diego, California, moved out to Michigan area, Kalamazoo area about 7-8 years ago. I have family that's from Detroit. Kind of want to get out of the California area, try a different state. So my grandfather suggested coming out here in the Michigan area. Kind of took a leap of faith. Had nothing but good things out here. Everyone I've met has been amazing. I really look forward to meeting everyone and working in the Benton Harbor area. So I appreciate your time. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. So we're still actively recruiting. We got some spots open. And we also have, we had closed the door to hiring more fire people, but we opened it back up because there's some guys that benefit us. We already have a damn good crew. So we did hire 3 out of 4.
Yeah, 3 out of 4. One of them, he's just checking his stuff in the department. He'll be up here in a
I
minute.
say, all right, one did pass the background because you still got to pass the background to go for the army. So that is what it is. Public outreach, we had a summit last month that was really well. They thought they'd get about 75, we had about 200 there. Matter of fact, I had a meeting today to talk about the next steps with that forum. And one of the things that we're going to be introducing is some Black history, to talk about some things that I don't think are being taught anymore. So look forward to that coming up as far as outreach. I hope to do at least 3 of those, all of them having an historic kind of a twist to them. Actually met with some other groups. We're also working on the consortium of these organizations to come together and have kind of like an overarching kind of organization. So you may have heard me talk about before having like a Benton Harbor, I don't know what we would call it, but for example, Present Pillars will know what 400 Black is doing. Boys and Girls Club will know what the Juneteenth committee is doing. To bring all that together under one umbrella and to put it right under Mr. Little, so you have more stuff to do. So there's some things that we're working on. Grant wise, I know we do that. So I know I just kind of breezed through that. We have the report. We're going to go to his report, which will segue us into one of our next topics.
Good evening, commissioners, residents. Out of the code compliance, the code compliance department is coming to the end of this grass cutting season, and we're moving over into our rental inspections and business inspections. I started doing some business inspections a few weeks ago, and that's ongoing. Still working with Mr. Little and the city manager in regards to the abandoned properties here in our city. Electrical permits, we have 4 electrical permits for the month of September for $10,891. Building permits, we had 10 of those at $2,092.50. No vendor permit fees were issued out. Dump sites. Dump sites that I had things picked up was in the alleyway between Ogden and Superior, and I had to do that twice. And also in the 900 through the 1000 block of Provone and McAllister alleyway, because the stuff was probably taller than a 6-foot fence in them areas. Along with that being said, I had the commissioner ride along with me and also point out a couple of things she probably passed along to other commissioners to let them know.
Oh, which commissioner?
Commissioner Henry.
Commissioner Henry.
Oh.
Also, demolition list. As you know, I stated before, Barron County Treasurer owned some properties here in the city, sold some in the tax sale. I'm not aware of any other properties. If they had another sale as of yet, I think the city manager has set up another meeting to meet with the treasurer, but I will have to speak with his assistant about that. Enforcement actions, there were 116 violation signs posted for grass cutting in residential and private properties. We had 34 vehicles that were abandoned, had 48-hour stickers placed on them, and 12 of those vehicles were towed. Business license and registration, nothing was issued out of my office. Rental registrations as well. Certificate of occupancies as well. The code and ordinance that are under review, these things have moved up to the legislative committee, which in regards to fire insurance liability for rental properties, licensing for businesses. That's between our office and the legislative committee. I'm for sure of, and the process of nuisance is probably going to be touched on here this evening, as well as probably at the next level as well.
So next month, we're gonna need you to sound more interesting.
Well, somebody smile. I'm just giving.
Okay, So, Mr. Evans, you got any questions?
Yeah, on one of the, questions, just a thought, I don't know if that's the goal as far as public safety, and of course, it's all around. Would the goal to be to have the same number of people in the firehouse as opposed to also police department? Like if you had 50 to be, just I don't know, just say you had 10 for the fire, 10 for police. That would make it much easier with it, too, since you're public safety and you're combined.
It would, but if we get back up to full strength, we'll always have somebody in the firehouse. Then we still have our part-timers, so actually we'll need two. Because theoretically, we should have 4 in a row, 1 in the firehouse, and then another fire, that gives us 6 firefighters like right now. So that's what we're trying to get to go. Oh, them two.
But yeah, to let him answer for himself then. Put him on the spot.
That's fine.
Finish.
Yeah, I didn't know if he was gonna answer that or not. So although me going with you, that's separate though, right?
Yeah, it's separate, but if there's a need, I'm here to call. So that's what I'm there for. Always done. 609.
Appreciate it, thank you.
I have probably one statement in the question on the enforcement for the illegal dumping. Have anybody been caught recently?
I have not found any addresses or anything in the stuff that I'm going through. Only thing I've been finding is a whole bunch of construction drywall, limbs, bags, you name it, I found it, clothing, no mail. I actually get out and I have gloves in my car. I go through just about every bag that's out there. But I have not found anything that's giving us who's doing it.
And the statement would be that since we keep getting repeated locations dumped on, yes, when we do catch people, catch them
So-
red-handed or something, what is the,
So what I do is, I hate to give it up, but I'm about to. After 5 o'clock, put it to you this, I'm still around. I'm still around. Some folks may see me, they may not, but I'm around and I got my eye on these areas that we have concerns about.
what is the penalty?
So if you get caught dumping, your vehicle gonna get towed and you are issued a citation. There is no if and buts about it. That's it.
And is the vehicle subject to forfeiture?
It's not.
I haven't,
It's not.
yeah.
It's definitely, it's the elements of the crime, created the crime.
It will-
Take it.
Yeah, and there'll be a hold on it probably until that case is finished. So
We'll be racking up storage fees. I think, the problem that we've been dealing with this for a long time. I think the utility, just, people got to stop doing it. And through enforcement and severe penalties, maybe we can put a stop to it. So if
Commissioner, I can talk to penalties. So I haven't had an illegal dumping citation in a while, but before the pandemic, I had multiple. I had trials, and so the penalty, it's a misdemeanor, so it's a maximum penalty of $500. And we do have an ordinance, but usually the courts, they start low. And we need to talk about maybe amending some of the ordinances that say first offense, minimum fine of $100, second offense, $200. But there's also one of the sections that allows for community service. The problem is that the courts can't order a person who's either pled guilty or been found guilty for illegal dumping. They can't order a community service to be done in a particular community. I've I've talked to the judges. I've emailed back and forth. I think Director McGinnis was a part of those emails. And they can't order that, but I was able to kind of talk to probation and talk to the person who is assigning the, where community service is being done. And if it's a Benton Harbor ordinance violation, they are making every effort to assign that community service to the city of Benton Harbor. Because I told them to go to Public Works, and they can, picking up, debris at the parks or the roads. So when that happens, we are trying to get things funneled to Benton Harbor to, if they get caught making a mess in the city, we want to be able to, part of that punishment or enforcement is so that they take some ownership and start cleaning up the city that.
Because they hold the taxpayers when they, they do that. And they should serve it and pay the taxpayers back money. Either monetary or community service or something. That was basically a statement there that they think that we need to readdress it, do something different with the penalties or whatever. We can go come up with something and go before the legislative committee to see about doing something that would.
It's hard to catch people in the act of dumping. It does happen, but we're low on staff, and I think it's just hard.
We need to probably have a little something set aside to offer some rewards for it, just like we do other crimes. When somebody dumping in my neighborhood and I see him on television. So, he can maybe not, I take offense to that. So, all right, well.
I have a question. What if it's a walking participant? I haven't seen people,
That's literally.
yeah. No, not like walking throwing a cup. Actually catching them transferring a dresser, mattress, whatever.
Illegal
Like,
dumping should be
like-
illegal dumping.
I didn't see them come from one here to just go across the street and dump it.
That's a phone call.
So is what the penalty is for them,
That's a citation too.
citation?
Yeah.
Too bad we can't impound them, huh?
Yeah.
All right, Commissioner Allen.
Thank you. I wanted to touch base on something that we went through with the water with an ordinance and the very subject that we're talking about now as it comes to code enforcement. If in fact those type of penalties should be stiffer because the taxpayers pay a lot of money they have in times past for having to pick up and dump to take somebody else's dump that they've dumped to get rid of. I think just one warning should be enough. If they're caught again, it should carry some type of imprisonment. Some type of jail time. We want them to stop, period. And maybe if they have a visit over to Barron County Jail, maybe they will stop. But however, there are some other ordinances through the chair that I hope that we're looking at to remove. I think that somebody said that we had quite a few on the books that shouldn't have that type of penalty on it, like jail time. A fine though is.
That would be a discussion with the legislature.
Okay, I wanted to also ask a question about frivolous calls. I have a neighbor that yells at me. Literally calls me and yells at me because the police is at this chick's house all the time and she's making these false accusations against her and she wants to know what her rights are. I don't know what her rights are. But isn't there something on the books about so many calls to one place?
Misuse of 911.
Okay, well, there evidently is a misuse of 911. And I'll have her to call who? Okay, good deal. Thank you. I want to thank our fire chief and everyone else for being able to stand by bad actors that need to go when they too do are involved in criminal activities. We do hold public safety at a higher standard. I also wanted to,
Let me just make one comment. He's just under investigation.
yeah, yes,
So
yes,
this
yes,
is
yes, yes,
nothing-
yes. Not to say that he's
Innocent
himself,
until proven
right,
guilty.
right, exactly. That's everyone. But thank you. I'm hoping in what I've heard with the training that's going on and everything across the nation, we are trying to reimagine policing and try to, I mean, the more guns we collect, we probably never get all of them, but just reimagining public safety, period, in our communities. What would that look like when we're having these forums and stuff? And I think that in times past, I've invited Chief McGinnis, and when I was attending ALPAC, where a lot of it started, that we were doing exactly that. Now we've gotten to the point that we're first responders. And I'm hoping that, and I think I may have mentioned this to the chief of fire chief as well as McGinnis, can we talk to our schools? Because we're not going to get rid of any buildings. If we can start looking at one of those buildings, doing our own training, public safety training, and training some of those that would be interested in being first responders, like present killers that would react to a call that doesn't take a policeman with a gun, or mental health and all of that. If we could just do something to put all of this together, would be wonderful.
All right, thanks, Commissioner.
And I think that was it. Thank you for allowing me to finish. Oh, one more thing. Our old fire engine, it would be nice if that could be utilized and parked at one of our schools to,
That rig is literally held together with both of them and duct tape.
oh, Lord, have mercy.
I hate to say that, but.
Well, I'm, okay.
It has
Well,
been well used.
praise God, then we got our use out of it.
Commissioner Henderson, come up with the news.
Right.
Lord, have mercy.
I just had two questions. Pardon my lateness, and you guys may have already gone over it. But I had a question about first-time offenders. There's a new person in that office. I had a meeting with her last week. Her name is Marie Robinson. She has a new program at the county that works with first-time offenders, giving them an opportunity to do community service or anything like that. She said she was going to reach out. It's a new role for her, but she was going to be reaching out to talk to see how that we could help juveniles with that. And I'll pass on her number. She hasn't called you yet, but she's over that program. Juveniles that are first-time offenders. Secondly, I have a question about the illegal dumping that has been done on Broadway, mostly in the township, but where that curve meets the townships, Donald Atkins specifically. A couple Sundays ago, I was out there with a church. Our church was doing some cleaning up along that area. A lot of people seem to think that that's Benton Harbor, but it's Benton Township. Is there any relationship with their public works? Are they putting a camera out there? Because not only is that curb full with it was all kind of boxes, mattresses, all kind of crap found there, but they've also dumped inland, and I think it's on the city's property. So they're going inside there, and there was all kind of couches, all kinds of stuff, right where Donald Atkins and Broadway meets. Those are my only two comments. Is there any relationship with them to actually clean up that mess?
I can answer that
Thanks.
for you. So there is a relationship with myself and the head guy for the township. We communicate pretty frequently. So I don't know if he's aware of that, but I'll pass it along to him and bring him up to speed on that.
And I also do ordinance prosecution for Benton Charter Township for the last year. I've been doing that.
Oh,
So, and I know the guy in charge of code compliance. I work with Mr. Bowers, Officer Bowers all the
you
time.
don't
And so, and I know that they are looking at doing things to help the township look for illegal dumping, getting a drone and somehow utilizing that, trying to find people who are having problems, catching people dumping and littering. And I know I'm trying a case on the illegal dumping, so within the township. So it's a problem for everybody, and we're working on it.
Chair, can we get a camera update?
You do,
Yeah, I was.
all right, Mr. Turner. you-
They won't ask. Good evening.
So we have dumping, correct, in the city. I don't know how I can better explain it, but the dumping sites that I know of, I have 14 of them. Not one of them have been redumped. My whole dump site goes to Mr. Maurice Bruce. I call him all the time about an issue. None of my dump sites have been back there. However, here we are with a city dump site. A city dump site. City, right? Here is a city ordinance. I have two of them. They both contradict themselves. One comes from Slickster Alice Little. Other one comes from Sleepy Uncle Mitchell. They both states that if a resident, I'm talking, I have to flow. If the resident,
Just go ahead.
it says section 4519, another one, section 1218. They both are ordinance from the city. They both contradict themselves. However, we spent $400,000 on some alleys getting clean. None of these alleys are getting clean. And what ward? Third ward, right here. None getting clean. It's one area I want to address publicly for all the commissioners and public safety and code compliance and public works got it. It happens to be in second ward. It is said that a resident has to ride around the city and do people's job. That's one issue, right? We have another issue. We have public works riding down the street. Dump trucks, items flying up the dump truck. That is a violation of DOT. The city has been warned by the Michigan State Police twice, yesterday and today. He comes in here. We are getting ready to put the city in violation of DOT compliance. I have talked with y'all numerous of times. I showed Commissioner Isom the violations before on all the trucks. Y'all got the violations already. I gave y'all the law. I told y'all, keep on playing with me, I'm gonna serve you notice. I told y'all, I'm done talking. I ain't going to do everything in my powers to protect this community. And if it calls for me to go up to Lansing, call for an inspector general to come down here and put people behind bars, hey, we're gonna do what we gotta do now.
Thank you.
Cameron, they
Mr. Little.
If this gentleman can't conduct himself properly, neither Mr. Mitchell nor I have to put up with being called any names. And if he can't handle himself, I'd like to ask you to ban him from this room in this meeting until he can get himself together. Now, this day started off with him calling the state police because of his interpretation of what's wrong with how the city is using the chipper. Now, first it was a complaint they aren't doing anything, now they're doing something. And so he calls the state police. State police contacted our public works director and talked with him. And basically said to him the same thing I said to him, and that is that rule pertained and specifically stated highways. Within the city, if something blows off, the city's got to clean it up. So the gentleman from the state police was quite content with the discussion that he had. But I'm quite fed up with his name calling business in these meetings. I haven't put up with it anywhere else I've been, and I'm not going to there.
All right, thank you.
Cameron, they chipper, they
Well, we got we're gonna stick to our agenda here right now. Commissioner Henry.
I'm sorry. You kind of got me confused. I don't know what we're talking about. Because you're just kind of going around and around, but I want to stay on track with it because there's plenty to talk about. So thank you, Chief, for allowing me access to your report. It's very informative. And my elected official colleagues, I hope you look at it, do your own research. I'm looking just for certain things, and juveniles is one of them. And so I hope that one of you grab another one and pay attention to what's happening in our city. So, is it time to ask about cameras? We talked about, wait a minute, we talked about dumping, and that's part of the dumping. I want Mr. Bruce to talk about the success and the non-success in his cameras. And if he says success, that's gonna make me excited and I wanna move forward. So if he can just tell us about the little cameras he got. Not them. Not them.
So, Mr. Chair, I had a certain amount of cameras out here. Unfortunately, someone took upon themselves to remove my cameras.
Oh, wow.
So I'm in the process of putting something together so I can have something more stealth. So no one should even know that they are there. So that's in the process, Commissioner. This is like
educated dumper.
This is like my second round of cameras, and the previous ones I had, they quite didn't do it, but yeah, that's where I'm at. So but want to hear success? Yes, I do have success. When they're on, it comes directly to my phone. I get a alert, and I leave my home to go
Bless you.
do what I need to do.
Bless you.
So there is some success.
Thank you, man. Very easy. The larger cameras. Where are we? Okay. Well, we don't want the criminal dumper to know where they hit.
As far as cameras that we.
It's okay.
That process is moving along very well. The installer is ready to go. We just put a request for bids out for electricians to connect power to the cameras. I forgot when our deadline date is on those bids. You recall?
I don't know off the top of my head.
I think it's next week, but we just sent off the SIM cards yesterday to the camera provider for them to install them in the cameras. So they should be getting started within just a couple of weeks or so. Just trying to put some of those in.
Is there any technical folks, any way to put a tracking device in some of the cameras that know to catch somebody in possession of stolen camera? Go from illegal dumping to
2 for 1 charge.
any way to put a tracking device in?
Some cameras come with GPS on them. Yes, they do.
Just don't.
Look, they don't chipper?
All right.
Chipper?
We'll get to that. Let's get to the demolitions first. I wanted to get that. Item number 3, discussion on demolitions.
All right.
What it is?
We're, so, this has, the reason we're bringing this, so let's back all the way up. So we got complaints from citizens, cars. We've attacked, we had some success there. There's been some complaints, concerns from citizens about some of the burnouts. As we've discussed before, we have some serious gaps in code compliance. So we've been taking our lumps. We understand that. Probably for like the last 10 years, people that were in place as the leaders of the department didn't do anything to add any type of organization or any type of systems that would last in perpetuity. So their taxman comes in, they start from scratch. That's when we said we were going to try to get our own in there. Of course, we started with Darlene, she ended up leaving. We got Chief Bruce in there now. So he's kind of come in. I know he feels like he's gets beat down and he's running on a treadmill. That's no fault of his own because we didn't have these systems in place. So as you know, we're going to say if we're not doing things right, if we're not doing things well, we're not doing things well. We've talked about this. We've talked about that here. So we talked about what we want to do and what steps we want to take to make code compliance better. So this was the demolition thing, and this is just by serendipity. It had nothing to do with the last discussion that happened like over the last couple of weeks. We were going to talk about this anyway, because this is a huge issue. So with that being said, we are working diligently, and I think I talked to Commissioner Anderson about, we need a systematic and systemic foundation laid. That's what we're working on. That's what we don't have. So if you put anything, police, fire, public works, code, whatever, on something that's like basically quicksand without cracks, it's not gonna work. So that's what we're working on, and what we're working on now actually won't have an effect right at this second, but within the next months moving into 2023. So we have had, as you know, we've had conversations with Rick Rock. We've all had conversations because we want to be the best code compliance in Marion County, like we want to be the best public safety department. So with that being said, we had to decide what part of the elephant we want to bite off. It's the elephant. Again, this is, we're being honest. You know, we take our lumps when we have to do something, we're not doing things right, or well, I should say. So demolitions was something that we believe we get a system in place there, it'll cascade, and those systems will affect and become systems in other aspects of code compliance. So one of the things as we talk here, one of the major issues that we have is data, correct data, data if it's there, correct data. So if we're going to talk about doing a fundamental change, upgrade, fix, if you will, we got to start with our data. So here's the thing. He's already strapped. He's already short one position. Now, remind you, we added one code compliance position that we're going through the process of taking applications on now. And now from our discussion we've had the last 2 days, I'm also trying to figure out if we can carve in maybe a part-time or short-time at least assistant administrator to help him and Alana, because before we move forward, we got to verify our data, make sure it's right. So, for example, house you live in, for all we know, it might be under John Doe's name because we haven't verified data in many years. We've had to pass with,
Isn't that what the assessor does?
Hmm?
The assessor.
no, it's that, I don't know. We're talking
They
about-
ask personal questions. I'm just saying.
So we need to get our data correct. So we want to look at if we can do that, the feasibility of that. So with that being said, trying to put a system in place to address the demolitions. The reason why this was high on the list is because we don't even have consistency in data for that. So we've been making reference to the demo list that Chief Bruce has created and works on, and it should be a link in the report. If not, we'll make sure it is, so you guys can see that list. The issue is we've had those lists before, so his list has 55 on there, but I have a list from 2016 that has 250 on there. You see the problem? So when I take his list and the list from 2016 that has the 250, there's only 19 that cross-pollinate. So the reason why we need manpower, the reason why we're looking at maybe a short-term part-time assistant to make sure that we quantify and qualify the data correctly, have it in there, because we can't, right now, he goes out in the field, does work, comes back, puts it in. Goes back out in the field, does some work, comes back. That we'll never get anywhere that way, ever. So we need to be more efficient in our movements. We need to be more efficient in our organizations. And I'm getting somewhere, guys, so bear with me, because this is important. This is what y'all said, y'all wanted a better, efficient code compliance department, because we're not operating very efficient. So we're taking that challenge, we're acknowledging that, here's what we're doing. So the demolitions, we're gonna literally, we'll take some volunteers, drive street by street by street, residence by residence, to verify the 256 or the 55. The answer is probably somewhere in between. But the thing is, the 55 he's been working with, if it is indeed 250, we got 200 that's been ignored. So we're not getting anywhere. So in your ward, why do we keep talking about, was it Cross and Union? Yeah, that needs to finally come down. That thing has been abandoned since I put the guy in jail for pedophilia, even long before it caught fire. So those are some things that we're working on. So with that being said, we want to complete and update a comprehensive list of properties needing demolition. Additionally to that, and Mo just pulled the records for homesteading, because if you notice on his report, we don't have a whole per month. There's not a whole lot of rental registrations that are being filed. Well, we know if we're 70% registrations and we're only getting maybe 15-20% of that, we know there's an issue there. So now we're going through the full records for homestead, because as you all know, if you own a house, you can't homestead a rental. Well, Mo has found that we have rentals that are homesteads. That's wrong, obviously. I walked through, he had a conversation with a guy who hadn't registered in 4 years. He was like, I didn't know, yeah, he did that. So those are some things we're trying to clear up, but we don't even have the records to even, so that's part of it. It's boring. It's gonna be laborious, but that's how we're gonna start laying this foundation. So we need to verify the properties, we need to verify the owner information, we need to verify all those things. And unfortunately, although Berrien County gets their data from the Harbor Assessor's Office, their records don't even match ours. So I go to county, and it'll be under Mary Alice Adams. Go to Ben Harbor, it's under Dan McGinnis. So those systems don't even, and that's part of the problem why we need a better check and balance. So we're waiting for the new software platform to come in, because we need alerts. We need to be able to have those, make sure those systems have the accurate information in there. So at least we have that to go off on. So that is some things we're working on doing. So reconcile what that list actually is. And here's the thing. We're not going to be able to get, right now, Rick has his hands full of 20 files that him and Bruce are working on now. Imagine if it is 200 demos. It's going to take some time, which I want to kind of address very quickly for discussion there, which could probably go on to a discussion in maybe the finance committee. So when we have now that we got past all that, we have a structure or a house that is bad shape. So one of the things that we're going to do is, one, introduce for that list a priority system. Priority one is a burned out house or a house that has severe structural damage that they're just not safe. So when we talk about priorities, I think you asked about that. How are you prioritizing houses? Well, we weren't prioritizing. So now we're going to prioritize it. Priority one or priority two. Priority two will simply be a house that is open to elements or boarded up for a while, but not necessarily a structural danger. All right. So obviously we want to move first on the priority one houses and make sure we start to get those in the process to be torn down. So now here is a discussion that we had yesterday, and it'll take some more discussion. That's why we got Rick here, of the actual process for a demolition. So one of the things we have to reconcile our process. And trust me, this is boring, I know, so just bear with me. This is important. So the front, what we have been operating, the front end of our process, we're using property maintenance code. But then when people don't comply, then we go into the ordinance, which now becomes a criminal part. So we're saying, I think we had a discussion yesterday, it should be like writing tickets. It should be either property maintenance code or it should be ordinance. When you start to mix them is when you start to have a go day range. So we talked about, City Attorney Rock likes having it come out of the ordinance, of which, and I'll speak to us briefly just for the sake of time, we have the ability, and we actually started the conversation of doing some ordinance amendments to submit to the commission to make changes to some of these things. One of the things, just to give you a reminder, that we're fighting in court, we have other attorneys that are fighting just what our charge is called, which is illustrative enumeration, which simply is nuisance. So we're saying, let's change the name to that. Let's move it up top, change the name to it. So we're working on additions, amendments, corrections to add, give you guys free to say, hey, this is what we want. That's what we're asking for. So we start that process. We're also looking at a comparable. Muskegon has some things in there. Not only do we need to look at chapter 25 and make some amendments there, there's some sections that we need to add that need to come from somewhere, as well as other ordinances that could directly affect this. So here's another thing. We talked about, we hadn't really moved on, because 100% of most 55 houses, none of them had insurance. So that's just by numbers. Let's just assume that if it's 250, 75% don't have insurance. So what's that mean? City of Ben Harbor, you're paying for that. Tear these houses down. That's the problem. So if we can come back to the discussion, and I know it's costly, it could be, especially if you have multiple homes, but the requirement to have at least fire insurance, so if the structure does catch fire, we can start the process with the insurance company, get the escrow or get the payment. That way the city can go through the process, have it torn down, not go through the rigmarole red tape of having to go to court because the insurance company takes care of it because it's insured. Now, again, I get the argument we've had about some landlords and whatnot, but we have to look at it from a standpoint of how much, if you're looking at maybe at minimum $15,000 to raise a house, think about how much it would cost to tear down 200 houses on our bill.
Yeah.
Because people, as you know, will walk away from the darn. That burns me up, guys. They'll walk away. That's just Ben Harbor. So that's something to consider. You know, that whatever decision you guys make is what we're going to follow, but that would help. You know, and I think what Muskegon has in their ordinance a requirement to have no less than $10,000 in fire insurance.
So,
Chairman,
our code enforcement, our chief and our attorney gets together and put that ordinance together and then bring it forth to
we started already.
Okay.
Yeah, we started already.
Okay.
For this one.
Okay.
But there's about 3 or 4 work. I can't remember exactly. But Rick is.
A lot of them.
Yeah, Rick is definitely.
Yeah.
He got part of the day cut out for Mo and sometimes Daniel. So anyway, so we want to go with an amendment to chapter 25, keep it in there. So here's the process, and I think there's been some confusion. I'm not even saying with the people, even within the department. So here's how it works. Again, let's go 554 Columbus, owned, caught fire, walked away from it. First thing he does is posted as condemned. All right, it's posted as condemned. So here is where we're falling off. That data is not always coming back and being put into the computer. So like Mo did a random query of some of the properties, and there's no previous historical data in for houses that have been condemned, got signs on there that's faded off.
Don't they have computers to log it when they post it?
Yeah, but remember, we haven't been doing very well with that. That's what I'm saying. We're fixing problems.
Is somebody lacking on their job?
Not anymore.
Okay, no, there you go. There you go. Okay.
Not on my watch.
All right.
So, so it's posted, it's inputted there. So here there's been some confusion. So you have 90 days for abatement, but here's what that means. You have 90 days to contact us and say, here's what I want to do. Here are my plans. I got a structural engineer I'm talking to. I'm still waiting for my insurance payout. Hey, you know what? I can't afford it. What can we do? So we got 90 days for them to communicate with us on what their intentions are. Again, needs to be documented. We're not documenting phone calls. We're not documenting those notes. We got to make sure we document those things. So at the end of 90 days, if we have no compliance, meaning I haven't called, there are none from them, at that point is when Chief Bruce goes or code compliance, they go and issue that citation. So I think it sometimes it seems like they get it right away, but that's not the case. We've given them, and even if you look in the notes for Chief Bruce's his demo list, he records every time he talks to the person. And they, at some point we got to move it. So that happens. I'm sorry, let me go back. So when we post it, we input it, we generate a letter that says you are in violation of this code, blank, 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 blank. It gets sent out to them, mailed out to them. We want to be able to follow up with phone calls. That's why we need the data in there, because we don't have a lot of phone numbers, so that they know. Then a citation after 90 days, only if there's no action. Because you're trying to work with us, we're still going to say you got to get it down. But at least we can come here and say, if the commissioner said, what's going on? What Union in Cross or Union in May? Well, here's where we are. We've had these meeting conversations. They're going to surrender. They ask with us, whatever the case may be. If by chance we get to that point and still that happens, then it goes through the adjudication process. It goes through Attorney Rock. So that's how that process works. We did talk about, and I'll bumped over to Attorney Rock about if we were to decriminalize aspects, whatever thoughts he'll share, regardless of if it's a misdemeanor or civil infraction, it's still the same process. We as a city are looking for the order that the judge says, okay, so I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
So we can easily make it a civil infraction or we cannot. However, it would need to be parsed out from chapter 25 because we don't want to make, say, a civil infraction for a house that somebody ignores for 10 years versus somebody who simply got tall grass. It would be the same unless we parse it out. So that's worth discussion. Rick, I'll give you that part and then I'll finish up with selecting the contractors after that. So, boom.
Well, so all of our ordinances call for misdemeanor violations. Littering, illegal dumping, nuisance, whether it's a burned out house waiting to be torn down or hasn't been torn down, abandoned building, a dead tree that presents a hazard to the public. So all those things, if they're on private property and they haven't been taken care of, they could constitute a nuisance.
All right.
And the nuisance ordinance says, we're only really entitled to provide someone 3 days notice. And if it's an emergency situation, we can go out and cure the nuisance immediately. But again, it's when we've got a large city and and demolitions cost lots of money because if they're abandoned and we can't get in there because of safety reasons, we have to make an assumption that there is asbestos. And when we're dumping asbestos, we're talking $40,000-$50,000 to demo just a small home. But going back to, I don't want to get off topic here. So misdemeanors, and I know there's been talk about decriminalizing demolitions. So as far as demolitions go, I had a home that was condemned in 2014, and then we re-condemned it in 2020, and then again in 2022. Nothing had been done from at least 2014, probably years before, because it had been condemned originally in 2014. No permits that we could find, no improvements. And we've got a property owner who said, the house has been owned in the family since the 50s, but nothing has been done, for 10 plus years. And the judge said, well, I think you've had more than enough time, and so the city wants to clean it up, and so you've got 90 days to demolish your property, or the city has the right to come in and demo it.
Yeah.
And so this person was, he actually pled no contest, but was still technically considered a guilty plea to a misdemeanor. And so, but if it's a civil infraction, we can get the same order, and there can be fines and costs. But if we don't, if we've got a lot of homes that they're abandoned, and if there's a demolition order and the property owner just walks away because they'll go buy another property at the tax sale, and so what are the teeth or the incentive to take some accountability for buying the property, sitting on it, letting it deteriorate, or not taking care of it after there's been a fire? We've got this misdemeanor, and to me, when we've got illegal dumping and littering and loud music, they're all misdemeanors. And rightfully say or not, that's not my call, but we want to have some incentive and some teeth to make sure that we can. The goal is not to just stop it once it's happened, but to stop it from happening in the future. And I get people don't want a misdemeanor on their record, But if it's gotten to the point and it's a last case, it's a last, worst possible case situation where the city is writing a ticket for a nuisance because of a home that's getting ready to fall down, or a home that hasn't been, it hasn't been boarded up, it's not safe, is a nuisance. There's a reason.
Honorable Chair, is that a reason for somebody that has moved away to get stopped in a vehicle and find out that they have a charge against them for not appearing in court, not realizing that their property has been cited for something and they didn't show cause in court?
Well,
I mean, I'm just saying, because I've noticed that over the years, some people get stopped way in other states, even if they moved away, and no appearance in court. If documentation came from the court from that citation was served to them not getting it because they're not taking care of their business, but a bench warrant is out for their arrest, they get stopped way across country and find out that they have a charge, and then they're going to be transported back to Michigan because they didn't. I mean, is that the type of thing that this could lead to?
Not for nuisance. I mean, there are like distance.
I mean, I've heard some stories.
There's pickup radius. There's no
Okay.
pickup radius for that. For misdemeanor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got somebody.
Can we work on solutions and take one thing into consideration? I heard Chief mentioning something that brought Priscilla Team Solution to mind. And I'm thinking that if I moved out of my house and decided to rent it, but see, I'm educated now enough to know that I need a renter's registration, move out of my house and I rent it to somebody that's applying for service. Can we do something to work with DHHS to send us some type of documentation of a renter? I mean, I'm just saying, I don't, it seems like it's government though. But governmental agencies should somehow be able to work together. I know we're supposed to be responsible to do our part, but I'm just saying, is there some type of way that DHHS can help it? And just think about it long term. But this other one thing I think that we all should take into consideration, not to let anybody off the hook of their responsibility while struggling for the American dream, living in a nightmare. Because there have been some amongst us that have been very privileged for over 400 years, and we're dealing with some people that have not even come close to catching up. I mean, I had a father in the service, 1930s, 40s. They come home and they were not allowed to get a home. They were redlined out. I'm just saying, in the midst of us making rules and laws and regulations and stuff, just take that into consideration while you're trying to prison somebody.
I didn't finish. I got one more point. If I can get to that. I got one more thing.
Oh, you got some on this last?
Yeah.
Okay.
You talking to me?
Deputy Manager.
Oh, I was gonna add, and Attorney Rick was about to touch on it. When all the rest of that gets finished and we're at a point where nobody else is tearing it down and it's there and it has to be torn down, then we run into another piece. We've got the list of about 40 or 50 units that have been determined need to be demolished. And we've got the money set aside and had it set aside now for 9 months. What happens is, one, state law requires that before we start tearing them down, there had to be a historical review. We've had the historical review done already now. Then there has to be an asbestos assessment, because unless we do, if they're classified as having asbestos in them, then they wind up having to go to a special landfill where you pay much, much higher. And right now, the problem we're running into is getting somebody to do the assessment. First, we tried to go through My Deal, where they've been pre-bid and they're state certified people. And just a week ago, one that we thought we had came back and said, I just don't have the manpower to do it with all the work that's going on right now. So we may very shortly be trying to do a bid to see if we can get somebody to do the asbestos assessment. But we gotta do that before we can actually tear it down. So the whole thing is a very lengthy process, and the primary problem is we allow so many of them to come up at a point. Because in Ann Arbor, where I was, Springfield, Green Bay, as each property became a problem, it got dealt with, so you didn't get a stack of them and have to go through all of it.
Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I'd like to know about the 20 properties and where they are. And then I would like to know where the money's coming from. Where's this?
You talking about 40 properties?
I know the demos.
Okay.
I want to know where the properties are. There were some questions asked, and they were asked to give that information to the selected body. And then the second question is, where's that money coming from?
The money I'm talking about is coming from Block Grant.
Block grant?
CDBG.
That 900,000.
Okay, thank you. And then can we, as elected officials, know where these properties are?
Well, please do this.
You can pass that shit on to Commissioner.
Thank you.
The list is on my report. Each
I don't
time
see
the
it.
report go out, it's a link to the list.
But it don't work all the time, sir.
That's, I don't.
I know. Thank you. It's working today.
So you want his list he's working off of, or the 2016 was, well, that's the one at the 206.
We want comprehensive so we can have understanding of what's going on.
I asked.
Commissioner Henderson got the floor.
Yeah, thank you. I just had a couple of questions I had written down. Thank you, it was a great report.
It wasn't done.
You want to finish?
I'm done now.
I'm sorry. How many homes are in each ward? How many of those properties that need to be demolished? That would be great too, to know how many is in Ward 1, how many, because you guys asked for help in terms of being able to locate and to document some of those things to help speed up that process. So it would be great to know how many of those homes are in each ward, and develop a grid system or way that citizens or people can help with that process. So those are my comment and observation. My second one is, you talked about the system being updated. Are you talking about the BSNA system that we're getting in to help with that? Because I know we use that. So is the one that we're using being updated, or?
All right, so the one that we're using is basically 2 seconds away from DOS. Is that old?
Oh,
Is that, yeah, so when you guys made the move to move us away from that,
mhm.
that was good, because at some point it's gonna collapse and it's not gonna work at all. So, and in that, so I heard somebody mention, which I was gonna get to before I got railroaded, is reminders, timeframes. So again, part of the process we're having with the data entry is if we don't input the data, we don't even know if there are flags that will say, hey, you put this in 30 days ago, 60 days ago. I think the new system has that, but if we don't actually utilize that feature or have the data in there, stuff will sit dormant like it has been since at least 2014, 16, when these lists came out. So we're hoping that in there will be those reminders. You got our administrative assistant. That's why, again, we're playing around talking about even maybe another part-time person, at least get us caught up, so that those timeframes, those benchmarks, if you will, pop up and say, whoa, hey, this is due for follow-up. And I think right now, the current BSNA does have that.
Mhm.
Problem is, follow up with who? Because we don't have phone numbers. So it's okay, yeah, I can follow up on 554 Columbus, but now I gotta go out and try to figure out who actually owns it and where he is or where she is, because it's just that we gotta fix all that.
And 554 Columbus might be owned by an LLC. And so then you gotta go try to find, where that person, that LLC, registered office, registered agent, and it's probably not.
So again, if I can sneak in my last point into your question, where's the funding coming from? So yeah, whatever money he has for whatever that is, that might take care of whatever houses they're working on, but that still might leave a couple hundred. Where's that money coming from? That's for you guys elected to figure that out, because I don't know. You know, is that ARPA funds? Is that, how do we,
Like public safety right grant?
there's one available, we'll get it.
There you go.
So where's that coming from? And also, we played around, we talked about an idea, maybe if I get Clark here to. If we had, no, yeah, this is different. I know we have RFP process, but we had one particular company that we contracted with. So when the time came, however the funding is, either through the insurance policy or if there's money that's aside, whatever, that we would go to this after, of course, I know it wasn't gonna get the whole process, but it has to be cleared by asbestos, whatever, which we even talked about getting our own person qualified to do some inspection work. So, I'm big on, we can do it ourselves and keep the cost down.
Okay.
So that does need to be done, but if it is clear to go after all those things are hit, who do we get? Do we do an RFP every time we demo? Or do we do RFP for a period of companies or a company of companies that will be kind of like we have for towing cars in rotation? Okay, so you do these 10, you do these 10. Again, that is for discussion. Maybe that goes to your committee. I'm not sure how that goes. But we have to have the end of the process in place too. So those are some things, that
I
is
have one question.
kind of our brief, our update on where we are, what we're trying to accomplish. There was something else I was gonna say that came up. I think we can let you know how many are when you see this list here, we'll share, make sure you get our copy too. You'll be able to see by the streets, because they're parsed out by the street and the address, where they are.
I just had,
Commissioner, and then the last question, and then Commissioner Griffin.
my last question is about the ordinance, the fire ordinance, which has been in my committee for quite a bit. And I think we got it from one of the ordinances that you had, because the discussion has been around, you know, the fire piece, because we all think that that's important as well. When will that ordinance be finished? So it can come through the committee and it can be looked at by the entire commission. Because it's been in our committee for almost a year. We would love to have that ordinance completed by the next meeting, so that we can.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's
'Cause it's
well,
been
so we're at
a
a time
minute.
where it's time to get this stuff in place.
Thank you.
Commissioner Clark.
I just got one question through the chair for Mr. Bruce. Mr. Bruce, you said it's a link we can click on to see the definition. Where would we see that link? Where's that at? Because I never known about it.
It's a link. The director sets it up when he does his report. I add that link, and that link's in there. So if you go to his report, you will see.
So where
the
it say
link.
here on the
It'll
paper,
say blue.
I see it
I
say
don't know
something
what
about
the
here.
paper look like.
It'll be blue.
We'll make it specifically, we'll have it clear as day on his report. Also share with you as well, give you copies, so you have.
I mean, I see something on the agenda say here, where your report, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Because here we can't push on it on the
Right,
papers, so I need to know the link. You can even, it
We'll
can
make
be
it when you
emailed or what, because I never knew
We'll
about
write the
it.
link.
Okay, give me the link, thank you. All right.
Did it just start there? There you go.
All right.
Honorable Chair, I'd like to make some suggestions, and it might sound that strange that we're going around and around in a circle, but I know we're at a place where there's a skeleton crew. Every department is working with a skeleton crew, and we already know what departments we need to beef up to give the service to the people like they deserve. Now, I just heard him say that they need a new person in their office, part-time maybe. But here I go back to AmeriCorps and Vista. Do we have the excuse that the city staff gave for not accepting AmeriCorps or Vista is that we didn't have any place to put them? Now we're gonna go back to this again. That information, a database, someone educated can come into our community, could be from our community, and add that in. whatever it is we need to start looking at better source, another source, because every time we look to hire somebody, the thing comes up, we don't have enough money. So we gotta go find some other places, and I'm asking the chief, the deputy, and you, that we revisit those entities that bring volunteers in. We got to do something. We just can't keep doing the same thing and think we're going to get a different result. It's not going to happen. So I'm just going to bring that out again. You can talk about it, but if you don't like that idea, come up with another one, because it's got to be done.
Yeah, we know something got to be done, and I think that's something that should be discussed and work within the personnel finance committee and talking about personnel. And I do agree with the idea of getting much help as you can get, and if it's cost less money or somehow we figure out how to work it out. I think some of the staff may say, okay, we're going to supervise these folks and stuff, but if you was hiring another worker, you'd have to do that. So somehow, some way, we got to come up with a system that work and to be able to utilize.
Can I give a suggestion? Can I give a suggestion to a solution? And she just touched base on something when I brought those vistas forward. When I had the scholars, it was a matching fund, but I have some that are coming free of charge now. And I'm putting them to work doing some other things. But I do have a solution. And that solution is something that I noticed that our doctors use. And that's something like the Dragon. We just bought new equipment for our vehicles.
We got that.
Okay, so if we have Dragon, that should be, that helps to keep that data. I mean, but I guess we would have to have somebody, some help to make sure that it's in its proper perspective.
Yeah, so realize like our administrative assistant for our department, so unlike other administrative assistants, she's the administrative assistant for 3 totally separate departments, because she's police, she's fire, and she's code compliance. So, and we got a new guy, we have a new young lady doing an exceptional job. From the community, born and raised in the city. She's doing a great job. She's doing the best she can to support him, as well as do all that she can do. So that's why it came up to us. Again, we're just kind of talking about this.
Okay, so since we're talking about, because I think our clerk needs help too, that we haven't hired. So, and she's good though. Okay. But I was just going to say, if it's possible that person could probably do a little double duty if Tiffany needs help.
That'll be a discussion
But-
for the personnel finance. Next item on the agenda.
Okay, go for it.
Discussion of the monument for the first 5 African American firefighters.
Oh, man. Had a little surgery this week, so you have to kind of take it easy. Okay.
You're old guy.
Yeah. My name is Archie Davis. I'm the son of late Archie Davis Sr., a firefighter. And I want to thank the chief, and I want to thank the fire chief here for coming out and doing the thing for my father, at the funeral. And I want to thank Mayor Mohammed came out and did the liturgy and talk. He told me that he was going to get with the council. He called me the next day, get with the 2 councilors and see what they can do about honoring those 5 firefighters. And we got one still living, with Mr. Billups, Johnny Billups. And I think that they need to see, I have people ask me every day, and even Mayor asks me, he say, Archie, why didn't you say anything over the years about your, well, I told him my father was a fireman, but it had to take with his passing to realize that it was him and 5 other guys that was 1957 in February, right downstairs here, that really was the first African-American, firefighters in this area. And it wasn't a mystery because, everybody was wondering and saying, well, we didn't know that your daddy was a fire department, they were the first back, and even the mayor said that he was shocked. He said, why you didn't tell, say anything? I say, well, you got to remember 65 years ago, when my father and mother came to Michigan from the South, and they decided that he wanted to become a fireman when he first came here. He took the civil test, and he scored the highest in the test, along with Means and Barnes, Walter Barnes, and the other guys. When I met those guys, I was like 7 years old. They used to come up by our house. We stayed on Bus Street, and their fire trucks would come up there all the time. They toot their horns, but it was something that I told him that we want to keep his legacy. All those guys, I say, just to honor my father, honor all 5 of them, because they all 5 made history right downstairs here. So I got peoples in Augusta, Georgia, and they saw the the speech that I did with 57 News, and the same 9/11 this past September. They had honored some firefighters down there in Atlantic, Georgia, and then I talked with them. They brought my father's name up, and they thanked the chief for speaking good words about my father, and he thank you, McGinnis, and they was saying that they should have a monument, and I said yes, I agree with that, because those guys paved the way for a lot of firefighters, and he was doing duties when he went in and off duty and went in his house and saved his dog that was in the burning house. Matter of fact, the house was right next door to us, and the house was blazing, and he went in there off duty to save his dog and brought him out, gave respiration. But what I'm wanting to see done, I don't want them guys to be forgotten, because they are part of history here, downstairs here. So I told my father that I'm gonna make sure that you won't be forgotten. And Mr. Phillips, he's the last of the original ones left. And when he left and went to another position in the 70s, become the fire chief. And he talked with me, and he talked with my brother Glenn, who pastored out there in Houston, and he TD Jake and them, they were so applause, and Overstein, all of those pastors I know personally, they call and see how the family's doing, and they say, well, I think that those guys should really be honored, because for back then you got to realize it was segregated, and coming to a city from the South, was very hard, but he pushed on. That was his desire that he wanted to be. He said, well, what do you want to be, son? I said, well, I'm gonna get off in entertainment, Dad. I don't want to go to fire. But it's something that I told him that on the week before he passed away, he called me. He said, tell him don't forget me. And, I get emotionally sometimes, because he was a part of this community, all 5 of them. Them guys risk their lives every day like police officers risk their lives every day. They don't get the credit that they deserve. And even some of the officers don't get the credit they deserve. But what they fail to realize that we can't forget those guys that paved the way for other firemen and for other youth. And Mayor say, well, Archie, I'm gonna make sure he called me. We're going to get with the counselors. We're going to do something about this. And I say, okay, Mayor, because he talked to me for a long time. He constantly called me and see how I'm doing and stuff. I said, I'm doing fine. The family, they still, some of them is grieving because he don't have but one brother left and one sister left. But he told me to make sure that they don't forget us. And I said, I'm going to make sure, So that's about it.
Mr. Davis, I did want to add one thing. Recently, the Herald Palladium sent over that there's actually a 6th firefighter.
Well, yeah, it was actual, but what happened is they had problems, I think, with the union back then. That was in 56.
Yeah.
And right. And they said he had left and went to California, but have no one heard from him. But I mean, that's why I made the statement clear. All those guys was back in the 50s.
Yep.
So, I don't want to just say to honor my father, honor all 6 of them.
No, I know. I just wanted to,
right.
That was news to us.
Yeah, so. It was because I talked with some peoples, and they told me that it was another firefighter that was in 1956, and he came, and they was during that time I think it was a confusion over the civil service test, and he was fighting the union. And he left here and went to California, and I know all of them. I know he's not alive anymore. But when they come down to it, I mean, honor all of them. I mean, they was right down here. This building, but this building is a landmark, right down here at this place, and I feel that he was a part of the community and he was a part of the fire department. So why not don't honor all 6 of them? That's the way I look at it. You know, and stuff.
Commissioner Edwards, you get.
Yes, thank you, Archie, for coming out and sharing this.
Okay.
And I often think of this because of my family ties.
Yeah.
Bracken and Edwards,
Right.
which were co-founders of Pilgrim Rest.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what it means to have a town of this size where generations can walk down the street and see a monument or something like this, and they can kind of relate. Oh, if I don't know, if they are not my family,
right,
at least I know, oh yeah, I know Archie, that's his family,
That's
blah,
true.
blah, blah.
That's true.
It raises a certain level of self-pride in the city, esteem, plus, especially when you look back here in 56, where it says Rogers
Right.
was denied.
Right.
And to show that it hasn't changed, my oldest son, who's a policeman now in Georgia, applied for the application, and he went through the whole process for a fireman in Chicago.
Right.
And they were sued. So my son was part of that lawsuit because they wouldn't let him. They were saying that his test score wasn't
Right.
high enough. But I don't forget how many of them won lawsuits because of that. So that lets us know that it's still living.
Oh yeah.
To me, I'm in full support of, like you said, all 5, just for the simple reason of when it happened.
No, 6.
Was
We were 6. Yeah, 6.
Just because of the reason why it happened by itself opens up a door in a small town that's been Harbor. Now, if you look at it years later, got a black chief.
Yep.
So I'm all in support.
What did you just say?
Stop.
Well, if you got another color, African American, whatever we want to call it.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, I just wanted to make
The
sure.
I
fourth,
said black.
he's the 4th or 5th.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
We're talking about
I
firsts.
followed this story, and I know some of them guys. I had family that was in public safety here. So, 2 uncles, both of them served as chief at one time, and another uncle that was a lieutenant over at the sheriff department. So, and I heard some of the, some of them started out back around the time that your dad did in the 50s, early 60s. Some of the things that African Americans had to go through. Some of their friends, like Alma Rose, some of them guys used to tell the stories about where they was only allowed to patrol in a certain area, and they couldn't come past Hall Park. And some of them didn't have radios, or some of them gave them the worst equipment, things like that. So it's come a long way, like you say, those guys paved the way for guys like myself, guys like Chief McGinnis.
Yeah.
They paid the dues, and so yeah, it should be honored. I also would like to see maybe, and you're a very resourceful guy as far as organizing things. Maybe some type of committee is organized to do some fundraisers. You use your talents. And DJ and stuff, entertainment, to raise some funds to help get this thing going and make it happen. I think we have to be real careful with using taxpayers' dollars in certain things. So, but I do believe in the cause, and hope that somehow we can do it. We are ingenious people, and we can come up with a way to get it done. And I think that's also would act as a way of educating some the younger folk. Because a lot of folk, even my age probably don't even know about that too.
Well, that's what Marcus, that's what Mayor Mohammed said. He said he was gonna, it's in the article here in the Herald for later, that he was gonna go to the schools and make sure the kids know about the history, you know, not only firefighters, I mean, polices, I mean, you know, different peoples who paved the way. And it was a positive thing because, you know, you're giving them something to look forward to where, hey, you know what, especially this place here, you know, when they can go back in the 50s and say, well, this is the same fire department. It's been a while and they have really been doing some great things. Firefighters come along and a lot of them didn't know this goes beyond way back in the 60s, I mean 50s. And, you know, a lot of the guys wasn't here. And I was, you know, like 3 months old when you saw the article. That's my father holding me in his, you know, in his lap. So as I got old enough, at 7 years old, when he started telling me about, you know, the fire department, that this is what they done, and the guys that some of their relatives are still living, and they thank me every day. Some of them I don't know. I was, you know, small, but they say I appreciate that you honor my uncle. I appreciate that you honor my cousins. And that's what I'm hearing, and they constantly calling me. And not only did this news just hit Ben Harvard, hit right out in Atlantic, Georgia, because it was on Facebook. And it was on there when the McGinnis and the crew was out there, and when the chief of the fire department, he was there. And they say that was wonderful that they can say they somebody, and they somebody representing our city.
If I may.
Well, one thing that, so if you decide to take this out far as you know, getting the committee or something together to help do some fundraising and stuff.
Well,
I would offer, you know, I'm the general manager of a radio station that some nuts I stole. I don't know how you can steal. But we would, I'm sure I could talk to my board and help get involved in that and, you know, helping with some of the fundraising and the promoting things like that. So just to offer you that, if you consider that route too.
And see, you opened up a door because I wasn't going to. I wanted something else, and I'll address it afterwards. But the nonprofit organization that I started for the community as a whole, Project Need Foundation, will be more than happy to help out in any way we can, as well as making a donation. And I do recommend a committee, and I'm sure the city will play its part for one of ours or some of ours that have saved some of our ancestors' lives.
Right.
I wanted to ask the fire chief though, if in fact there are, I remember coming to visit down here when we used to get the cute little red caps and stuff, fire caps, and Sparky really was a doll. What do you call them? Dalmatian. Yeah, Dalmatian. There were several of them. But I remember the face of it looking somewhat so like that, but it was different. Do we have pictures of that?
There is very, very few pictures that exist. There is one picture of a dog.
No, the firehouse itself. I mean, because I remember we saw pictures of some of the firemen even coming down the pole when, man.
Unfortunately, our department lost a lot of its history over time.
Okay, but you have whatever you have,
Yeah,
you
we
will
have very
share.
little. Honestly, Glenn Davis,
Yeah, my
Mr.
brother.
Davis's brother, has supplied us with some newer
Okay,
stuff,
okay.
but
And I'm sure our
we've
libraries,
lost a lot.
our library may have some, but a committee, definitely. And you know where to find me.
Okay.
I just want to say, you know, these are historical men that work for the city. So I know Miss Eula May, that was a 4th Ward commissioner. If I read correctly, the city spent over $100,000 paying for her monument. And then I know Wilsie Cook, Mayor Wilsie Cook. Also, I know the city helped with him. I see he got something outside and he got a picture out here too. So, I mean, and this is second committee he's went through. So I don't know, from what I hear, and I guess neither one is passing it to.
I think when you talking about, you know, black, picture of black, but when you I'm sure the city can definitely do something like that when you talk about a monument, how big it's gonna be, how much, money it's gonna cost or what, so you gotta, when you say a monument, I guess I'm kind of envisioning something,
Well, I don't think not
huge or something up to.
not a huge. I mean, that's.
What
I
if
think, but he's from conversations. I think he's mostly talking about like something like Mayor Wilson, with something with their pictures
Right.
and their names and
Right.
stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
Not something you said.
right.
that's simple.
Yeah,
Buy
so-
your house in the back.
just showing
Not something
honor
you
in
said.
them.
Not something you said.
Basically, flags,
Right. Not something you said in the
When
ground.
you say monument, that's.
Well, that's where I wouldn't know.
Monumental.
Elder knows too.
Yeah, so
All
I,
right,
okay, well, thank you. I just want to clarify that.
Yeah, just to, Mr. Davis, I can help you out with that. Well, with different monument
Mhm.
projects, even before I got here, but now with the United Civic Monument Group.
Right.
I can
Okay.
help you with that if you would like. And you're right, monuments can be anywhere from a plaque with just a
Right.
rock and a plaque on it.
Right.
So all that goes in the process, what size, names, what material,
Right.
the spot, all that. But whatever you need me for, I'll be there.
Okay.
Mr. Dunn.
Don't leave.
Oh.
Don't leave, 'cause I'm trying to put you in here. Your daddy too.
Okay.
They can take some of these signs out, these pictures out of here and put some of those things right behind our fire chief and all of that, right over here. We could dress this area up. Yeah, and we really could start with some microphones in here so we could hear you guys when you get into those low voices. I could hear some of the things you're saying, especially when other things going on.
Right.
But your daddy was a big man.
Yeah.
He was a big man and he deserved to be on these walls. And some of the black policemen back in those days too. I'd love to see them in here instead of what we have in here.
And the thing about it too is that I know, like the chief said here, it's hard to find a lot of those pictures with a lot of those guys in archives because a lot of them got displaced over the years with other administrations. And lucky that I found a few of my father, the picture that you saw there. But the rest of them, like Axel and Johnny Billups, you got probably clips of him, but it's hard to find the rest of those guys. I mean, that's why if they want to put something on the wall or something with all their names, that's fine with me. Because going out, I mean, because you really, it's appreciated to the family. And as long as they get noticed. And if it's 6 of those guys, if they can find, even if they can't find their picture, they can put some kind of plaque going across, with their names. So that's fine with me.
We'll get together with that.
Right. So,
we had a floor, don't we?
You through, Mr. Davis?
Yeah, I'm through. Yeah.
If you guys would just consider it, if you just take them down, put some names, pictures, whatever you got to do to remember a lot of our fallen people that have left unnoticed and forgotten. Because if he hadn't come in here, your daddy would be forgotten right now. If you wasn't doing what you were doing right now, your daddy would be forgotten right now.
Well,
in here, I'm talking about.
Right. Well, when he made that on, the week before he passed away, I talked to my dad. He couldn't really say anything, but he heard everything I was saying. He was mumbling and mumbling. He said, the only thing he said, don't let them forget us.
And that's how you don't let us forget them.
Right.
And I thank you for the time.
Right. Okay.
Good evening. Mr. Davis? Oh, okay. I think it's a good idea in regards to your father being one of the first Black African-American firefighters here in the city of Ben Harbor, and also just the acknowledgement. I think, like he said, in regards to just a plaque or something, just naming these specific people, and then especially being because now you guys are the training facility in regards to firefighters, and we're talking about diversity and things of that nature. So I think it's not a bad idea to acknowledge these guys. So yeah, I mean, even like you said, not even just a picture or a monument or anything like that. I think just the acknowledgement in regards to just if we can just possibly think about disclosing their names would be a good idea. And then also, would they go through this committee? I mean, how does it work in regards to? I know he's been through a couple because I've been here, so he's been through.
Well,
So
once you get some type of monetary number on it, then it's going to the personnel finance committee.
So would he need to present some type of design or something, or someone he needs to get with to kind of make a mock-up of a design or something that will possibly be considered?
They can work with the public safety folks.
I'm happy to.
Yeah, basically just get a committee. It can be whoever you want. It could be family members. It could be just people who you trust. Be number one.
And when we talk
Then
about,
you just put a committee together. You come up with what type of monument. Like I said, it can be anywhere from a small plaque, put on a little wall, or it can be big as you want. So you get that committee together. You decide what names you want on it, the information you want to put on it. Then you determine what kind. Then you off and running from there. And as he said, you also, who's going to pay for it, where you getting your funds from, that whole 9 yards. Once you get that impact, then it's just a matter of just taking it through the process. That's why I say I'll help you from round one, if you like, all the way through. It's not hard.
Is there proper protocol?
30-foot
Is there proper protocol? I'm asking you. Is that I know it's really not my venture, but I'm just trying to ask for. I mean, because I know he's been here a few times. Like, what's his next step? Who does he need to speak to? I was just asking you, is there proper protocol? What?
I think they sound like some type of solution, because it really ain't a protocol. It's okay, somebody got an idea, let's get the people involved who could help or willing to help and come up with something, because at the end of the day, once you come up with a cost, if it's any cost to the city, then we can present that to Personnel Finance Committee, takes it to the whole commission, and then the commission vote on it, whether they want to
move forward.
Those funds, because nobody can, we can't spend
money
without commission approval. So yeah, so I think this, tonight, that's what it was, this sit on here discussion. So that discussion is, is happening now, and coming up with some ways to make it happen. So, Chief,
So two things. On this topic, I would say it would be remiss to not include the first Black police officers too, which we do got.
That's what I see.
So I would say both. And then I would say outside this discussion, I'm trying to get him back to work. A new firefighter came to meet you. Just wait for an opening, so we can meet him before we go to the arts hearing.
Oh, you're welcome.
So let's go with this.
I will make sure that Black Lives Matter when they.
All right, so this right here is George Gonderson, who's come to us. I'm sorry, what did you call my last name?
Stop playing.
Oops. So,
so this is George Gonder. George comes to us from Lincoln Township. We now have 3 of their firefighters working for us.
Hello, George.
We're kind of picky about who we hire, but Lincoln Township has some of the other best firefighters in this county, so we're very proud to have the Lincoln Township guys working here. So George, you've been in the fire service, almost 20 years?
17 years.
So 17 years. Highly experienced, comes with a lot of certifications, and definitely brings something to the table for our department. So
17. That's the 17.
I know I have a baby.
That's the turn about the events, though. We picking off other folks. We're picking out people.
That's a
That's
good
What
thing.
made you want to come back?
Well, we've run mutual aid with you guys through Lincoln Township, and I like how your cops and firemen work together, because there's other places that we've been that they don't work together very well. And I like how aggressive you guys are at fighting the fire. And it's somewhere that I felt it was the right place for me to be.
Thank you much. So that brings a lot of experience. Yeah. Thank you much for
You're very welcome.
considering us and going through.
Happy to be here.
And the one thing I'll add, along with George, and he's not here tonight unfortunately, but we hired the fire chief of Lincoln Township as well, came here to work. So his boss, Brandon Chiarello, also is going to be working here part-time. He started last night. So, and he'll also be our director of physical fitness in our fire academy. So we've added a physical fitness component every night. They get a half hour of physical fitness, and Brandon will be that guy. So we're getting good people. We truly are getting the best of the best, and it's nice to have.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, sir.
Welcome aboard.
Mr. Donaldson, thank you for coming.
Go under.
I'm gonna let you back in.
Okay.
Okay, next item on the agenda, the authorization to accept approval of installation of the youth trail system to a small rail in the Great Youth Park.
Right here.
Got that?
If you will, I'll just open by saying we had received a communication from Kristen and her group about their willingness to make available the storable system in Gorham Park. At first, we were looking at City Center Park, but after we saw exactly what it was, we thought it might be better suited to go in the children's park up on Brittany Pipestone. And she's here tonight to talk to us about it and tell you what it is and answer any questions you have.
All right, you got the floor.
Thank you. My name is Kristen Chisholm, and I am the director of the Great Start Collaborative in Berrien County. And we focus on children and their families and caregivers prenatal to age 8. So all of the work we do is to better the systems that serve those people. So I work with some amazing partners like Ms. Keena King at the Berrien County Health Department. Present Pillars is a part of our group. Berrien RISA, the Benton Harbor Schools. So we have many people that are working for the good of that age group that we partner with to just do the best job we can in Berrien County. One of the things that we have put into place is a national campaign, which is the Talking is Teaching campaign. And that is through Too Small to Fail, which is an offshoot of the Clinton Foundation. It's a national campaign, but the state of Michigan is the first state that decided to adopt the campaign as a state. So through some grant opportunities, we have been working in Berrien County to get out the messaging, talk, read, sing, to encourage parents and caregivers to talk, read, and sing to their children every day. Because little children from 0 to age 5, that's when their brain develops the most. By age 5, your brain is 90% developed. And so the more we're talking and interacting with children at that age group, the stronger their brains will be, the more likely they're going to be to succeed in school because they've got that basis that they've learned as young children. So the whole campaign is really focused on supporting parents and caregivers and the community to feel confident in talking, reading, and singing with young children. If that's not something you do normally, it's weird, right? Like people feel awkward about it. Why would I be talking to a baby about their socks? But this whole campaign is really designed to support parents, caregivers, community members to understand they already have the tools. They don't have to be, master's level, educated to build the brains of their community, to make their community a better place. Because as children learn and grow, we want our kids to be reading when they're in elementary school, right? We want our kids to be doing well because if they're doing well by kindergarten, by third grade, they're going to be graduating high school most likely, unless something really serious happens. So this is just laying the groundwork for a stronger community, for stronger parents, parents who feel like they have some part in their child's development. And we have really focused on a couple areas in the county, but Benton Harbor has been one based on reading scores and reading proficiency. So if students are able to read by the end of third grade, they are more likely to be successful. And so the state has a test that they give. And so we looked at the communities that needed the most support and just figuring out what can we try. So we've been working with the Benton Harbor's Farmers Market. We've been out there providing information and books and things to families. We have WIC handing out totes to families with new babies with all of this information and acting as trusted messengers of this campaign. We have 2 daycares in Benton Harbor that we partnered with, the lady Lila Bugs and Buttons out in Kojic, and also Charmaine Davis. And they have been trained to share this information with their families and have been sharing things in their daycares. And then our newest partnership that we're really excited about and should be start opening soon is Elite Barbershop. We are going to have a reading area in there, and families that come in or kids that come in with guys to get their hair done, they're going to be able to sit there and read books instead of being on electronics, which is a huge deal. And they can take those books home with them when they leave. So they've been an amazing partner and are really thinking about other ways to connect all this. But one thing that really we're trying to do is get things in the environment. Because if you hear something a lot and then you see it around a lot, you're more likely to believe it, right? And to do it. So we all know like the J.G. Wentworth commercial, right? We all know the slogan that goes with that. This is the same thing. So we're really working hard to get things like this around on posters, on permanent signage, on different things to really encourage that talk, read, sing. Because if you see it and hear it a lot, you're more likely to do it. And the cool thing about this is it provides prompts. So instead of just saying you should be talking about Michigan, it actually gives you like, what do you enjoy doing outside? You know, when I cross bridges, I see, what's your favorite Michigan sports team? So you're giving people the prompt to interact. You're not just expecting them to figure it out on their own, which is awesome and I think really supportive. So through all this work that we've been doing, we were approached by the Clinton Foundation for the possibility of receiving this story trail. It's about a $20,000 installation. And they essentially said, do you have an area that would work in Benton Harbor? We know you're doing a lot of work. We would like to tie together all these projects you have. And I met up with the city and we talked about Union City Park, but based on the size of it, it didn't seem feasible. It would create a wall. So we went out to this other park. A couple weeks ago, we were on location ready to install and then realized we're notified that we didn't have all the permissions we needed. So the signs are currently sitting at Barry and Risa waiting on a pallet to be installed. The Clinton Foundation is paying for the entire installation. It would not cost anything for the city at all. And there are future projects that we're working on. The Great Start Collaborative has some funding for some smaller signs around other places in the county. And so we would really like permission to be able to have this put in the park. It's just one piece in a puzzle that's tying together all of this to encourage parents to be interacting with their kids. And I know that Benton Harbor cares about their kids and wants their kids to have as many opportunities as possible. And this just seems like one more thing to help just get kids interested and excited about reading. The Story Trail is a book. So it's this book that is printed out and put out, and you can see the book. Yeah. And the best thing about this book is it models all of the behaviors that we're asking. So it's from the perspective of the parents interacting with their children. So it's modeling the behavior we want. So, you know, the child, let's talk about green things. What do we have in our house that's green? Oh, we have broccoli. Oh, we have this shirt. And so it's really, you know, without realizing it, you're getting all these things modeled for you. And then it becomes a part of how you interact with your children or the children that you're taking care of. So there are in what Mr. Little submitted, originally we had talked about up along that back fence, but it is a double-sided installation so that it's on both sides. And when I was out there with the playground company, we had talked a little bit about, would it make more sense to be along the sidewalk that exists? There's a short sidewalk that comes in off the corner of Pipestone and Britain. And that shorter sidewalk, I did print these out for you. The shorter sidewalk is short, but there's a longer one that comes in from Britain. And people would be able to enter the park and walk along and read the story as they walked along the sidewalk. So there are two options. Obviously, you are making the decision. But based on walking it with the playground company, I would suggest the sidewalk. It seems really natural. And they were being really thoughtful about making sure there was room for mowers to get around. They install multi-million-dollar playground equipment regularly. So it's in their minds, they don't want to make things more difficult for, Public Works to be having to deal with. So that's my request. I think that this is an excellent opportunity, and the sooner the better that we can get it done, because our ground is going to be freezing very soon. So.
Okay, Commissioner. Oh.
Yeah.
You got any
This one?
Yes. So, what's the last name?
I'm Kristen.
Commissioner?
Yes.
I'm Commissioner Edwards, co-chair of Public Safety and Parks and Rec.
Excellent.
This was coming up. So this great idea, because it gets kids to read.
Absolutely.
Plus the fact, did you talk to the women's shelter down the street?
I have not yet.
So they have kids.
That's awesome.
This is a concept that I was going to get into in our next report when it comes up Park and Rec. So
Okay.
what I would say at this moment, it ties in to what I want to be in the parks is an educational system of outdoors education from A to Z. It's a lovely way to get people to read.
Yes.
Not only kids, but me.
Everyone. Yeah.
It reminds me of the picture called Purple when she was teaching her how to read. She would put a tag on everything, and
Yes.
that's how you learn how to read.
Yes. That's exactly.
Because you could put things on a tree. I wouldn't know if I go out there, a tree's a tree.
Right.
So yeah, it's a good way to learn kids the difference between an oak tree, elm tree, so on and so on, as you say. However, I'm working on a lot to start next summer. Good idea, because I want each park to have its own specific ID. That is the perfect park. Kids, grown folks don't go there.
Right.
So I would love to work together with you on this, because I wouldn't want to interfere with what you're doing, because it's great. But at the same time, I don't want to. I get a lot of questions. What did they do? I got questions as soon as I walked in the building. And I had to answer to that. Don't be disencouraged. I love the idea. I just love to work with you. You're looking for other sites, I got it for you.
Well, and I'm at this point.
I mean, with that site, along with that site.
Yes. So that site, we would love to do. The conversation started back in May with Mr. Little. And so at this point, if we can't install soon, then I think that the Clinton Foundation might make me change to a different location. It would still be in Benton Harbor, just not necessarily in a city park.
Mr. Little.
I certainly want to support this, and I agree wholeheartedly with the commissioner. One of the things when I did this resolution, I included some figures so that you would realize this city has 957 children 5 years and under. It has another 1,000 children that are between 5 and 9. We have a lot of young kids. I mean, out of a total population of around 9,100, the census says now, that's a big piece of it.
Absolutely.
And I think doing this will pay dividends to the city for many years to come.
They can also go into our mission of trying to get families back into the parks. When the parks
Yes.
is first, I guess, designed or put in neighborhoods, it was designed to bring families, from the neighborhood into the parks. And I think those are some of the ways we can get back to that.
So I'd like to recommend that this committee move it to the commission and that we give permission to move on this as quickly as possible.
Commissioner Isom, you got?
Yes, I think this would be a good Edward D. Isom. The D is for Detroit Blue. Commission favorite team. But I think it would be a good installation because reading is very important. Very, very important. And because I've been read in schools and little kids need this right now. You can catch them while they're young.
Yes.
I think it's very important that we maybe move this forward and bring families together, like Mr. Little said. In the future, in the long run, it'll be very successful. Go Detroit.
Any other questions? Commissioner Henry?
Thank you, Chair. I think that the park is the perfect park because a lot of young women sit in that park with their babies. And I think it's a great idea to give them the tools that they need, especially our young mothers. They need that tool. And I've been doing a lot of research on, never mind, I won't say that. But anyway, I heard you say that this project was going to be hopefully expanded a little bit more into.
Yes.
I just have to always go to Benton Harbor is 93% Black. And we have a lot of social issues that need to be looked at. And so I see that our main characters are rabbits and they're purple. And I would like for you in the future to look at ways to show our mothers and their fathers and the kids their own selves.
Black people.
Can I address that? So a part of this campaign is actually, I'm very aware of that, is actually training people in communities to be a trusted messenger of the information. And so I actually have a handful of parents that I'm working with that are Benton Harbor people from Benton Harbor that are helping share information in their communities. I have parents in other communities sharing. I don't live here. I could share with the groups I'm connected to and people would say, yeah, I believe her, right? But nobody knows me. So, I've worked really hard over the past 4 years in this job to build relationships with people like Ms. King and Mr. Patterson, Mr. Gunter, to really understand what the needs of Benton Harbor are, because Benton Harbor has a history of having a lot of things done to you, right? I don't want to be one of those people. I want to partner and say, what works for you? Just like this partnership with Elite. I went to him and said, hey, this is what I envision. Do you think you'd like to do this? And honestly, he went and checked me out before he agreed to do it because he wanted to make sure that my intentions were there. And I told him, I would love you to be a part of this. And so actually he's decided, like, what will this spot look like? Will this, because he's going to be the trusted messenger sharing the information. I'm not hanging out in the barbershop all day. He is. And so it's really that's a big piece of this is we have environmental things like this installation. We have people in the community sharing the messaging of Talk, Read, Sing that are part of the community that they're sharing in. And then giving parents tools. So like making sure that parents have books, making sure that parents have information that they need. How do they get WIC? How do they get other services? If they're a young parent and they need support, where do they turn? And so the people who are the trusted messengers can share that information with them too. So yeah, I'm the main player in terms of the Great Start Collaborative, but I know that my voice only goes so far. And a lot of the work we're doing is really asking other groups, like, does this work in your community? And how would it work? Like, where would it work best? What can we do? So I love the idea of empowering other people to make change around them, because we each have our own little circle of influence. And so I can do my part with my little circle. And then, maybe one of those people will go do their part with their circle. And that's really how this works is sharing that information. That's why we went to the daycares in Benton Harbor. They're trusted messengers. The parents that take their babies, they trust them, to share information with them. So they've got posters up and they've got information they're giving out to parents because those are the people they interact with every day who live in their community. I don't. So, yeah.
The consensus to move this forward.
You got first and still let me ask.
Co-chair.
Yes, I know Mr. King, so
yes.
Okay, so I just want to say, so my name is Keena King, and I work at the Barron County Health Department in the capacity of, my title is Family Health Programs Manager. So I work across our home visiting programs. And I also spearhead the Raising Up Healthy Baby Task Force that focuses on reducing infant mortality throughout our county. Barron County is very high with our infant mortality. I've worked with Kristen throughout our years working with different projects that we're working on. She mentioned the WIC program and utilizing our WIC space at the Barron County Health Department. And I also oversee the WIC program. And she's also been supportive of anything that our families need. Our WIC program, she's also supported some of our teams and also not just to support, but provide opportunities for training for our teams to be trusted messengers for our community. I know this project that she's working on, it is time sensitive. And so that was a big concern. And this will hopefully open the door for opportunity for Benton Harbor to benefit from some of this funding through the Clinton Foundation and possibly even other foundations. And so I do appreciate what you was, and I don't know your name, ma'am, but just your statements about the book and looking at what does that book look like. And so representation is definitely, it means a lot, especially to our community, and we are aware of that. And just hopefully this is something that can be started within the community.
Yes, so Ms. King, yeah, I'm with you to move it forward. And when you mentioned that, I remember me and Mr. Little went out there and paid you a visit. Thank you for coming back. Yeah, I'm willing to move it forward.
Excellent.
And I would love to work with you guys on that. I'll meet with Mr. Little. You can give him a call. He'll let me know.
Perfect.
But yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Move forward. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Last item on the agenda, Parks and Recreation update, schedules and formation of Park Subcommittee. Turn it over to the co-chair, Commissioner Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to make this brief because of time. Basically, there's not any park updates except for you might have seen across the street where they're putting up the new pavilion. No, it's not going to be just a skeleton. I know you all might not say that, but I'm just saying that they are going to put the roof on it and the cement around where the poles are to be. So that's an update on that. They did the water line, replaced the fire hydrant. So the old fire hydrant over there now is a new fire hydrant with new pipes under it. Was going to go out and jump on people about the toilets, but we'll work on them next year because to me, it doesn't make sense to pay them $1,000 and get ready to snow. But we would definitely be on them at the beginning. Any other updates to the parks, basically what it is now, people just, it's cold, nobody's really actually using them. Riverview Park is still pretty much Riverview Park. People go out there, sit and chill. This past summer, I hooked up with, some of y'all might know, Teddy Smith, I just found out. He's a old school DJ, Teddy Bear. So we was going out there every Wednesday and just to kind of see what it's like. And we went out there and we were playing music. So we would go out there Wednesday right after the farmer's market, go out there. Commissioner Henry came out there. It was enjoyable. A lot of the drivers came out there, thanked us for saving them gas. They don't have to turn their car on and have their music play. Other than that, there is some conversation that's been going on, and it kind of coincides with the young lady that just left, Christine. Parks and Recs activities programs, a lot of parents are saying kids need something to do. I'm saying we all stand. So I'm forming a subcommittee for Parks and Rec. That's it, Parks and Rec. What does that committee job description? I have park programs here that has been in plan for, I don't had it wrote for years. Now that we have gotten to this point, and I found out people that are interested, so I'm forming a subcommittee where we can make this park program a action program beginning in the summer of next year. It's good to have parks be done, but if you don't have no program, it's like building a house and don't put nobody in it and come back 10 years later. It ain't gonna look the same. So if there's any citizens, and there would be no commissioners on it, I'm not gonna be on it. That way the citizens will feel free to use their own thoughts. But to save the groundwork, it's already here. Basically, all you will have to do is help us coordinate these events, find people who will be referees, blow a whistle, be a judge, just sit there and watch the little kids, be a safety net. You have a lot of kids who just come out, young ladies, just come out and want to talk to another lady. You have young boys. They search the park for just some older man to talk to. So this serves a multiple, it solves multiple problems. The young lady came in right on cue. I want every park, 13, to have its own identity. She just picked one. Grown-ups don't go to that park. Grown-ups don't even go to the one on Britain and right off of Colfax. They're kiddie parks. So yes, each park can be done in its own unique way. Anybody interested in joining that committee, it'll be a committee of 5. It would not be all men, it would not be all women. Did you know that now? I'm not gonna say I'm taking the first 5, but my phone number, if anybody needs to share this with somebody else that might be interested, 269-277-6489. The other definition of that subcommittee will be also maybe expanding programs or whatever. So anybody interested, please let me know. What kind of activities? All kinds, whatever we can put in a park. Bring families together, bring kids together, stop some of this nonsense. We can get kids out of the street, and if we put them in the street, there's a lot of reasons we can put them in the street. Commissioner Henderson has a great idea. We can do skating, close off the street, let them skate around. We used to do it all day and night. At night, we just go right across the street to G&W. So there's a lot of things we can do with these children. We just need to find some people who want to put up that time. We don't have a budget to pay anybody as of right now. So if anybody asks how much they get paid, say you get paid a smile. That's what you get. But right now, we need something to kick this off. So any other questions? That's about it for me on the updates.
I just got one
Mr.
question.
Little?
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just have one remark related to that. I don't think there's anything we can do much more important than that. 44% of the city's population is 15 years and under.
And they don't have anything to do when school is out. That's from the time they get out of school, from the time they wake up in the morning, there's nothing else for them to do that is organized.
Stay used to that, you know, I'm of the belief, like you said, what, how many percentage was it?
44%.
44%. And then we look at our crime rates. So I believe that if we can create an environment where our kids can learn to play together and work together, that they'll be less likely when they get adults to want to kill each other. So I think these initiatives is definitely on the right track of doing something about the bigger problem that we have. So, Ms.
Thank you for everything that you do, because I know you're always involved in regards to the park and events and things of that nature, which is an awesome idea. But also, we also have to think about the safety as well. And with that being said, I know I heard you mention that you guys were doing events down at Riverview Park. Was there anything ever rectified in regards to the lights down there? I know we talked about that over the summer, so.
Thank you. Yeah, so I had that written down. So I went down and checked the lights. There is 5 lights that were out, but they're like, you know, the perimeter, all the lights are the perimeter of the park. I did catch up with AEP. Since I talked to them, I don't know, I haven't been back down there at night. But they did say they were getting to that area. At the time I talked to them, they were around Michigan Works. And I don't know if they were coming back down Main or down the river, but they did say they were getting to it. Outside of that, yes, there is I'm looking into what it would be like to put lights in the center of the park. Because when we stayed out there, you have like grandparents bring their grandkids out there and they like stand till it's dark. But you couldn't see the kids playing in that playground. And if anything happened to one of them, you wouldn't know it unless you're looking for them. Hey, where they at? They're over there on the playground. And you wouldn't know if anything happened, like if they fell and broke an ankle, unless you actually walked over there. So I'm looking at lights that would surround that play area that would also light up kind of the entire park. Because right now, all the lighting is the perimeter of the park.
Okay, did you need me to, as a citizen, I'll ride down there tonight if you like, for me to find out whether or not those bulbs have been replaced? Can we just start with what we actually have physically present?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that worked. Thank you very much. And then I can catch up with AEP and try to find out when will they
Right,
get down.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Also, the lights against the pole. Now, one of them, I think, so if a light it was broke down. Now, I don't know if it was because of the storm, hit a limb and broke the light, the head of the light, all the way off. So I guess that being the course of nature, we still see AEP for that.
I'll have Mr. Meeks check and see if that's their light.
Okay, because as soon as you go in the park, it'll be the one on the left, that almost the first or second pole on your left. Thank you, Mr. Foster.
Mr. Duncan.
Yeah,
Walkathon. Oh, go ahead, Mr. Duncan.
You go ahead. I'll wait on you.
The walkathon to October the 22nd is given by the Financial Summit. I had it pumped up, but I ain't. Financial Summit. That's with Barbara Sickstrom, Shelley Madison, Financial 175 Main Street. They're doing a walkathon and it's starting. I'm going to get that information to you, but you'll get it. It will end at City Center Park. So you will see some signs possibly 3 days before it happens, so you know. It's I don't know if it's a 5K. I told I ain't walking nothing with a 5 on it. But it's 2. Oh, so Commissioner Henry knows. So it's a 2K walk and run. I think it's just all walk. But I'll give you some other information on that. Like a time, if you want to see me afterwards, I can get it to you. Commissioner Henry.
I'm gonna ask this inquiry, this request again. I'm looking for 2021 and 2022 end of Parks and Rec report. I wanna see it. I wanna see everything that's in what happened in 21, and I definitely wanna see exactly what happened in 22. This is probably my maybe 10th or 12th request for it. You as chair asked for it and it still hasn't been provided. You asked for it in committee and I thank you that you did do that, but it hasn't been provided to me yet.
And I did mention that today to Mr. Williams, Financial Director? Yeah, so I will be, all of us will be getting it.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say when, I don't like giving dates if they don't give me one.
Well, can you put a date on it? I've been asking for
I'll
over a
see if I
year.
can get it to us at least by the next meeting, full commission meeting. Which is next Monday. Unless I can get it quicker.
Thank you. I appreciate you making that effort.
They're very unlikely to be able to do that soon. Keep in mind, Mr. Williams is new to it.
Right.
And it's gonna have to come from Ms. Brock.
And,
Oh, okay,
and-
you're talking
and
about specifically for parks, right?
and Ms. Brock should have all of that information already in them, compiled together. Cause I'm asking for 21, and we've had the season, the end of the season of 22 already.
Okay, I'll check on it, because, yeah, Mr. Williams did just dig it. I kind of took that in consideration, not pressure. So, Mr. Little made me aware now, so, okay, I got you. Gene Clark Park went out there to look for the swings. We can get them fixed now, or we can get them fixed later. What will it take? 4 boats? Maybe, I gotta look at it. I don't know if the whole set needs to come up.
It's old.
Yeah,
New chains and new seats.
which means if we can just put swings up, it's just a matter of change in the seat and boats. But if it had the whole set, I'm quite sure it's concreted in the sand. So I have to really go out there and see what is the problem with it. Is it just to change boats and seat or frame?
I think it's the, we can fix the change in the seat, because it's been like that for 5 years at least.
No.
More longer than that, that one of us at least.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I'll go out there and see for sure.
Well, if we're gonna really look at our gold mine, Gene Clark Park, the one that bring in thousands, hundred thousands of dollars a year, and we can't even get we have not fixed the shower in the women's shower. It was not working all year. The handicap parking, you can't even tell where the handicap parking is. So if we don't talk about it this winter, it won't get done for next spring when we open up.
And that's the reason I wanted to go ahead and get this committee together now. Because right now,
You can't put Gene Clark Park in that group.
It's a park.
But it's not park, it's the only one that's generating money.
But it's a park.
And it's federal, and it's guidelined by the federal government. So, no, I'm not agreeing to put Gene Clark Park in with the other ones. It's never been, and as far as I'm concerned, it never will.
Can you get Mr. Duncan's,
I know you're ready to go home and eat, but,
I'm hungry too.
yeah, and I've been hungry for a long time trying to get these parks together and getting programs in them. Everything happens everywhere else but our parks. You sit there for a minute, because you had me sitting for a long time. I went through 4 people waiting to say what I had to say, and I know you in a hurry. And so is the chief. And you, I haven't gotten my paperwork about the buoys that was supposed to have been sent from the state. And I'm not, whatever his name is, he's gone now, but one of the police officers supposed to have been giving it to me. Yeah, but I don't want to go through him to get that piece of paper. I want to go back to the city clerk and get that piece of paper from her. I shouldn't have to be bounced, like today, getting bounced around or not being able to say what I need to say when I need to say it. I got issues with that. You can have people talking all over the place, can't hear you guys because you don't have a microphone. You guys need to do something about our parks, about our kids, about our citizens and especially our senior citizens was having these problems, not hearing you guys in the chambers. I want you guys film so they can see you guys, see the expression on your face when you diss citizens every time. I want them to see every time when a citizen stand up, ask the chair for conversation and get walked around, talked around, and then get told, I'm ready to go home and eat. Help the citizens. It ain't about y'all. And what I'm asking about the river is for the citizens. It is not asking about or asking anything for you guys because most of you guys never come to the river anyway, unless it's an event where you can come down there and drink a beer or chit chat and all of that stuff. We want water on the river. I've asked about it. We've asked for porta potties in the wintertime too. And we shouldn't have to keep asking you guys or coming. This is what you call complaining because my voice went up. But I want some results. I don't want you guys sitting up there smiling in my face, not another damn year, not another winter, and we don't get what we need on the river. Now, you can call me what you want to, but that's what I'm asking, and I'm gonna be more demanding for it, and I'm gonna bring some citizens down here with me if you guys don't come and do the things that we ask you to do. Don't smile in our face and come and get our votes and then don't want to do exactly what we ask you to do, especially when it's going to benefit us as citizens. I'm too old to be coming down here fussing and listening to y'all with all the rest of this stuff and not getting the things that I know the citizens want. Can you help us? That's a direct question. I need some help. Can you help us since you got so much authority? Can you help us because you got so much authority? Can y'all help us because y'all got so much authority? I don't want to come back with this conversation, but I want running water and I want some, I don't even want no porta potties no more since you guys so like you are. I want a bathroom with some running water down on the river. It's Mr. Yarborough's Park. It is not anything else but that, and it should have running water. Otherwise, it ain't no damn park. Thank you.
Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all don't want to hear us in the meeting.